gonna put the thumbnail up and I'll send the link to the chat and then we'll get going. Hold on. Set it up now.
Yo, I can't believe Rico Dowdle.
I know it's crazy.
It's been that
It is
blows my
crazy.
mind 2 weeks in a row.
It is. It's like solely because in like my biggest fan, it's not like a fucking high stakes league or anything, but just like my closest friends, and it's my like the highest buy-in fantasy league. Like one of the dudes just says like every year horseshoe up his ass. So naturally he stashes Dowdley and turns into fucking prime Adrian Peterson. It's like,
Jesus.
Let's see live.
Yeah, that's crazy. He had him the whole year.
yeah, he drafted him. I mean that league's Kieran's in one of a league with the same exact rules, so. They're all redraft leagues, but I s- the rosters are much different than like a standard league. It's
Gotcha.
quarterback, two running back, three receiver, tight end, two flex, no defense, no kicker, seven bench. So the rosters are really deep. It's just 16 skill guys, no defense, no kicker.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never done a redraft league.
I like them. I mean, I go back and forth about like which one I like more. I do enjoy Dynasty a lot. I'm in two Dynasty and a four redraft, but I'm a big redraft fan.
Feel that. I've heard a lot of people talk about it on like Twitter, but I've never actually like looked into it.
For what?
What?
We were talking about redraft.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I heard you say like you do, you like redraft. I mean, I like having this one dynasty league as like my dynasty league. I don't think I could do multiple dynasties. I don't think I have it in me.
Yeah, I think doing more than one dynasty would be kind of tough.
Yeah, I'm in two dynasty.
Damn.
But I'm just a fucking dumbass. Like I love fantasy, so I'm just like a total moron, and I'm the commissioner of four leagues. So it's like wicked pain in the ass trying to
Damn.
coordinate everything,
Yeah, that's gotta suck.
getting money from like 40 different people.
Jesus. Yeah, that's gonna be a huge pain in the ass.
It's the same, like what I just said about doing one dynasty league. It's also for me being a commissioner. I can't imagine being commissioner of two leagues. Like it's
Yeah,
just,
let
I
alone
feel like I
four.
don't have it in me. I just don't think I'm built for it.
No, I definitely
Yeah.
feel that. I wouldn't want to be
Did you
doing
see
that
like
shit.
Karen, did you see like the group chat the other day where the dude's like, Commissioner, what can you do about this? Like, oh my
Oh
God, for
yeah, I
fucking
tuned into that and I was like, thank God this is not my issue because I didn't even bother looking into what happened. I was like, you know what? Like this is just not my issue. This has nothing to do with my teams. It does not seem like this is fucking me over at all. So I'm just tuning out. I was like, I'll just let them handle that in the league chat. That is none of my business.
But there's one dude in that league, he'll just always be like, Commissioner with a question mark. Like, well, fucking Christ.
All right. All right. We are live now. We are live. The link has been sent out. People can join as they see fit. But we are back. It has been a while. It's been a long time since we've ran an episode. So we were going to try and do it 2 weeks ago. We're looking for like maybe like the quarterly mark or something. I don't want to brag too much, but I was busy getting married. So we weren't able to squeeze the episode in. Just things got too difficult with travel and other events that I had to do. So we put it off through 6 weeks. But I'll be honest. I mean, just with this first topic that we're going to lead off with, I'm kind of glad that we did because I feel much more enthusiastic talking about the Patriots now than I did 2 weeks ago. And I mean, I will say I'm never like a doomer Patriots fan. I'm very much a wait and see guy. I was always that way, especially with like Belichick trades. Right? I always look back at people freaking out when we traded Chandler Jones and it ended up being no big deal at all. But I like to at least see how things play out before I give any sort of reaction. Right? If somebody drafts a player, makes a trade, starts sit decision, let me see how it goes because maybe they're onto something, right? I'm very open to the idea that I'm not always right on things. I'm very willing to change my mind. So I might have my thoughts, my feelings, but I've been a trust the process guy. I definitely was putting Elliot Wolf's feet to the fire, hot seat time with him. Right, put up or shut up. You got to give us something good, something to look forward to. And with Vrabel, I mean, I was very much for the Vrabel hire. I know Frank was a Ben Johnson 1-1 guy.
Oh, big time.
And then Amaral, I forget exactly how you felt about it. I feel like you might have been maybe anti sticking with the Patriot way. Let's like just completely flip the culture, anything like that. And I mean, who's to say, right? We're 6 games in. There's no saying who's right, who's wrong. I've been a big Vrabel defender this whole time, though. I'm feeling great. And I'll say just to act, not to act like I'm like the squeaky clean Pats fan, but I mean, a few weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, I was saying, I like Drake May a ton, but I wasn't 100% like, okay, like he's easily our guy. And I'm talking like a month ago. He clearly had the tools. We had seen the flashes, we had seen the highs, but he wasn't displaying it consistently enough through, how he played last season, right? He had his ups, he had his downs. Obviously, we lost week 1 to the Raiders. That honestly looks brutal in hindsight. But in this past month, I think Drake May has 100% solidified himself as a guy. I feel so good about how the Pats stand, just knowing that we have him. Of course, we want to still get better receivers. We definitely want to improve that run game. I think that defense is looking great, but you can never be too satisfied with how you're looking on that end. But I mean, I feel like I had this as like an 8-9 ceiling win team. I think we're looking way past that at this point. I'll stop rambling now. I'll pass it off to you guys. Amber, I'll start with you. What's the state of the union with the Patriots right now? How do you see it?
So, I mean, it's been sort of a roller coaster. Like I also wanted Ben Johnson. Um, I didn't hate Vrabel necessarily. I just hated the process where it's like Kraft just immediately jumped to the next guy he knew after hiring Mayo.
Yeah,
Like there
the
was
other
no,
interviews were probably just bullshit.
they were total shit. Like they probably should have got like penalized in some capacity
Yeah.
because they just brought in 2 guys to satisfy the Rooney rule. Like it was Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich. Like I don't even know how those guys wasted their time interviewing. So I hated the process. It seems like they were just locked in on Vrabel. I will say that I was at least felt okay about it because Vrabel would have gotten hired this cycle, whereas like last cycle, Mayo like definitely would not have been hired. So it was an actual NFL coach, which is a clear step up and an upgrade from Mayo. But again, I hated the process, and I was hoping to go outside the organization, so I wanted Ben Johnson. Um, then as we start to get closer to the season, I'm like, okay, schedule's easy. Like they should at least be like functional. And I've always been a Drake May believer. Like pre-draft, I thought he was better than Jaden Daniels. Obviously, that didn't play out last year. He looks like the better player so far this year. Of course, we're only a third of the way through, but right now May looks better than Daniels. So he's the guy for sure. Like all the tools have been there, but he's been able to sort of rein in some of the wildness and inaccurate uh, throws and some of his decision making. So he's like clear cut the guy, I think. Love Drake May. I thought they'd be an 8-win team. After week 1 and seeing how that looked against Vegas, I was like, oh, fuck this. Like this team's winning 4 games again. This team sucks. They're useless. Like
I
can't get
remember
out
you,
of their
you
own
were
way.
down pretty bad after that
Yeah,
loss.
it just looked exactly the
It was
same as the
totally
last two
fair. It
years.
was totally fair for you
Yeah,
to feel that way as well. I mean, even now in hindsight, I mean, thank God we're at 4 wins now because if we were, at like 2 wins and we're like, man, we couldn't even beat the fucking Raiders,
yeah,
I'd be feeling real bad.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely
So
fair.
I was like, this team sucks. And then like even like the Dolphins win, I was like, okay, like that was a good win. Like Miami's been a tough place to play, but like if HN stayed inbounds, like they could be 0-2. And then the Steelers game, it's like stupid penalties, stupid turnovers. I'm like, yeah, this team definitely sucks. Like maybe they'll get 5 or 6 wins. Then they beat Carolina. And it's like, okay, that's feels good. Like they cleaned up on a bad opponent. They have been able to do that. That felt nice. Started, but I thought people were like making way too much of it. I was like, okay, like I expected them to lose by 10 points to Buffalo. Obviously, that was a big win. really changed, I think, most people's tunes, most people's expectations for the team this year. So to get to 3-2 and then to keep that momentum up against 4-2, like as soon as I beat Buffalo, I'm like, okay, if this team doesn't end October 6-2, like it's a major disappointment in my eyes with that stretch of New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland. Like going home that first week in November against Atlanta, they should be 6-2. Anything other than that's a disappointment. But I think like I scoffed at everyone that was like, oh, this team could win 11 or 12 games in the preseason. And it's like, they actually probably will win 11 or 12 games. Like, I don't, like,
Yeah, and I
they'll
mean,
get
part
tripped
of
up
it
by
too
somebody
is
here.
like, and Frank, I want to bring you in on this too, because part of the way that I feel, and I've already seen people that are sort of like doomers about it, like, oh, well, you know what, we're not going to spend again, we're not going to do all this. But I mean, I think in hindsight, there are a lot of good instances where people were upset about moves that we didn't make that ended up actually probably being for the best, right? Like, I'm really happy we did not give Calvin Ridley the tens of millions, what was it, like 80 million, 90 million that he got?
That would have
Uh,
been awful.
I'm so happy that we did not give him that contract.
Same thing
I'm
with
so happy
Godwin.
that we did not go all out to get Chris Godwin,
Yeah,
in this offseason. And I think that part of it is kind of what I was saying about Drake May, where it's like there was absolutely no doubt that he had the tools. But I mean, how many guys do we see come in that have the tools, they have the athleticism, they have the arm, but they still can't put it together? So, when they were losing, that game against the Raiders, when they lost to the Steelers, I was very much in the mode of, you know what, I don't care what the record is. I just want to feel like we have something in Drake May by the end of the year. And honestly, probably before that, if we couldn't figure that out before game 16, 17, then we're probably in a pretty weird spot with him as well. But I mean, he has not only shown that, but he's shown the ability to lift the floor of this team. And yeah, okay, we've had a really soft schedule. We have a pretty soft schedule moving forward, and there could be a little bit of fool's gold, almost like what we saw from the Commanders last year, where they clearly have pieces, they clearly have their quarterback, but they benefited more from an easy schedule than from being a really good team. And I'm not ruling that out. But I mean, the fact that we beat the Bills the way that we beat them and just totally outclassed them, that was insane to me. So I think what I want to say about the roster is that now I think this is where, and this is also a big hot seat moment for Elliott Wolf, but this is where sitting on that cap space is going to pay off. This is where not making those moves earlier on is going to pay off because hopefully they're seeing the way that I'm seeing it at least that, hey, we have our guy. Now we can use that money and invest instead of, you know, putting that around the next Mac Jones and it not working out. Now we have the quarterback. We can actually trust that we're building around a guy, and now we can start using that money. They still got to use that cap space wisely. But I think that's where, we could see them be active at the deadline. And, there's been the rumors going around about some of the high targets, whether it's going to be a wide receiver. People are kind of shrugging that off, saying it's going to be an edge rusher or running back, if anything. But Frank, that's where I want to bring you in. Who should we be looking at least this year? And who do you think we can go out and get to really say, hey, we're serious about this shit with Drake May. We're going to try and make the push now.
honestly, I like my number one target for them is Trey Hendrickson. I'd really like to see him get like a legit edge rusher. Um, a receiver would be good too, but I feel like our receiving core is good enough, especially with the tight ends. As long as Diggs stays healthy. I mean, if he goes down, it is a pretty bad receiving core again. So I do totally understand like going for another receiver, but I don't think it's as big of a need as like edge rusher or running back.
I agree with that. I mean, like the run game is just brutal. And it's like the fact that we're 4-2, and we're winning despite, our running backs averaging like less than 3 yards a carry. And I mean, just the fact that Ramondre, right? I mean, it was great just on like a human level, seeing him bounce back the way that he did from the fumbles in Buffalo and, score those touchdowns, do all that. But, it's one of those things like, hey, I'm glad we got out of that clean, because that could have been really bad. And,
Oh yeah.
I saw a lot of people were kind of making the comments, looking at tape from this past week where it does look like he's maybe running a little bit scared and he's maybe too focused on not fumbling that it's not allowing him to be free. And I've never been a huge Ramondre guy. I think he's always just going to be an at cost guy. Or hey, if we can have him in our running back rotation at a low cost, then sure, I'll take it. I wasn't a huge fan of the extension. That felt kind of like spending just to spend.
Yeah.
But I mean, we bring in Henderson, and okay, I would love to see him a lot more. But even when you're breaking down the stats and the efficiency and all like the nerd stats. He's not exactly lighting the world on fire with his touches either. So I'd like to see more from that. Maybe if we had a better sort of 1A or 1B to pair with him, and then he could play off of that. I mean, that's where he thrived in Ohio State, right? He was not. He did not improve when he got a bigger workload when Judkins was maybe had to sit out some snaps or he was injured or anything like that. He was much better when he was working in a tandem. So maybe we just need to get him a better running mate in that backfield, and that can open things up for him as well. But yeah, I mean, I think running back absolutely has to be a priority. We can't just be happy with Ramondre being in that rotation. Like I said, I think it needs to be somebody better paired with Henderson. But then, yeah, I think also just adding to that defense and, trying to really just make that the absolute strength of our team because that's where, a lot of things can happen. If you just know that you can rely on that and we know we have our quarterback on the other side, then I think we can be feeling really good. Amro, what do you want to see from us rest of season to really say, hey, we're being serious about this?
I honestly don't like. I don't need to see anything at the deadline for it to like take them seriously. I think. I mean, football is definitely the most difficult sport to integrate new pieces at the deadline. Just from like a scheme perspective on both sides, particularly offense. Like I don't even want to see them add a receiver at the deadline. I just think it'd be a waste. If they add a couple pieces, even if it's a couple depth pieces defensively, I think that'd be fine. Um, but listen, I think that you're seeing Drake May already elevate his teammates. I think elevate the coaching as well. Like I was never in favor of the McDaniels hire for sure. Still think this is much more about Drake May than it is about Josh McDaniels. Um, Seeing him elevate the coaching, elevate the players around him on offense, that's the biggest thing I need to see. And again, like I'm now comfortable with the team, seeing them against Carolina, seeing them against New Orleans, that they're going to beat the bad opponents. And that's like the first step to being a good team is like beating the shit of the league. Like you can't slip up in those games. You got to beat those bad teams and then see where you stand against the good to great teams in the league. I like where they're heading. Again, I think they're going to be 6-2. Like, I think that Atlanta game's like more of a toss-up than people are probably giving credit
One
for.
one thing I'll say, because this has always been like a little fun fact that I've had, because I'm a big Drake London guy. There's, I don't need to explain all that, but Drake London beat the hell out of Christian Gonzalez when they played each other in college. When London was obviously at USC and then Gonzalez
Oh,
was still
really?
at Colorado. Drake London had like an insane game. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Hold on.
I didn't know that.
And this was before Gonzo was Gonzo, all that. But let me see. That would have been, I guess, maybe 2019. They played Colorado. No, maybe it was 2020. Would that make sense? Maybe it was 2019. When did Drake London get drafted? He got 2022. Was he before or after? Okay, because
I think
he's
I got it. I think it was 21.
yeah.
I
So it's
think
21.
he
Drake
was the year
London.
before Gonzo, right?
Okay, yep.
It,
Christian Gonzalez was at Colorado. Drake London had
9 for 130, I
9 for
think.
130 and a touchdown. Like just
Wow.
beat the hell out of him. And I think there's a video out there. It's a pretty bad rep for Gonzalez, but no, I mean yeah, I definitely think with the way that Atlanta's trending, I mean they just beat Buffalo. I think there's also something to talk about. What is Buffalo good at? Um, they obviously have Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that's
pretty
gonna
much
keep
it. They got a
them.
good run game and they got Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's going to keep them afloat, like no matter how bad that roster is. James Cook is a great running back. He's not an elite running back. He's not a guy that can flip a game like we saw Bijan do with that 80-yard touchdown that he had. Obviously, he can break off plays like that, but he's not the creator that some of those top tier guys are. He's very much a take what's there, and I have some wiggle, I can get it done. I'm not disputing that he's a top running back in the league, but you understand what I'm saying. But then we look at those receivers. Kincaid, he's a very fine tight end. And that defense has been getting the shit beat out of them, especially by top receivers. So when you look at that roster and you're kind of taking a step back and you're saying, okay, obviously Josh Allen is going to give them a very good floor. Maybe this is just not that great of a team. I mean, we can see them be active and try and add some talent here. But I mean, maybe that Buffalo win in hindsight, a month from now might not look as impressive as it did at the time. But yeah, I mean, back to circle it back to the Patriots. Something I wouldn't mind seeing. And, I don't think it necessarily makes them like immediately like, holy shit, we're gonna like win the Super Bowl this year. But with all the rumors floating around, like, hey, Jalen Waddle could be available, Chris Olave could be available. I think that those could be interesting trades just because when you look at free agency, right? I mean, already looking ahead, seeing like some of the top guys, right? There's Mike Evans, he's going to hit free agency next year, but then it's like Christian Kirk, Debo, Jacoby Myers is his name that's available right now, but then it's like Lazard, De'Ami Brown, Rashid Shaheed's far down that list too, but it's not easy for really good talent to hit free agency. So at some point, you do have to try and acquire it in a trade. And I think, hey, if these guys are going to be available now and the time to get them is mid-season, then I would love to see us go out and get one of those wide receivers. And I think that that's more of just a long-term move that I'd love to see just because of how hard it is to get wide receivers without trading for them anyways. So you might as well just go out and make that move if one of these guys is going to become available. But yeah, I mean, I think otherwise they're going to be a pretty solid team, especially with that schedule. I think the playoffs are very much in play with the roster we have because of that schedule. So, yeah, I mean, I think it could be interesting. I would just like to see us continue to make winning moves, like you said, Amaral, win the games that we are supposed to win, and at least be competitive in the games that are much more of toss-up. So, hey, if we play the Falcons and they just beat the shit out of us, I would hate to see that. But I could take a close loss. Like, those games are gonna happen. Um, is there anything more? Oh, and I also want to say, aside from him being just like an unbelievable player, I really want to get AJ Brown just because I'm tired of the Eagles fans on Twitter acting like, oh, I don't know where this entitlement comes from. I don't know where Pats fans get the idea that shit's ever going to happen. The guy cried when the Pats didn't draft him.
Yeah.
He posted a video voluntarily of him holding up Edelman's jersey, being like, I got the Goats jersey signed. Like, let's not act like there is not some sort of interest there between AJ Brown and being a Patriot. Okay. Like let's stop being ridiculous. Okay.
And also
So
being reunited with Vrabel.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
so
say,
exactly,
especially
right?
now
Like,
that we have
yeah, like
Vrabel, yeah.
when Vrabel, after they traded him, I think it was that same year, the Titans played the Eagles, and Vrabel and him were like hugging at midfield and like, having a whole conversation. I think Vrabel made a comment after that really made it seem like he was not a fan of trading him. So, yeah, like let's stop acting like there's like we're just making shit up when we're talking about AJ Brown going to the Pats. So more than him just being like a nasty player, that's why I want him. It's more of a spite thing than it is just wanting him as a player.
Definitely
And,
feel
and of
that.
course, I would just love to have him on our team. That would be unbelievable. But is there anything else that we want to say? Any closing statements about the Patriots before we switch over to the power rankings?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised going into the season you guys didn't think Drake May was already the guy. I thought the
I mean,
situation was
like I
such like a
said, yeah. I mean, it was not that I didn't think that he was good. Like I clearly like I was never in denial of the talent. I love Drake May at UNC. Like I was a big fan of his when he was a freshman at UNC. But it was more I wanted to be positive by like halfway through this
that's
year.
fair.
I think
That's fair.
I think Coward he had Brady on his show like 2 months ago. Like I think it might have been right before the season started. And he was saying that, a lot of times they would say after like 2, 3 years, that's when you would know if you had your guy at quarterback. But with how, hyper focused players are and specialized in sports, right? These kids, they have quarterback coaches from the time that they're 8 years old, all that stuff. That kind of speeds up the process. And Coward's new thing was by like Thanksgiving, you wanted to be certain. By like Thanksgiving of their second year, you wanted to be certain that you had a guy. And, not that it's an exact science or anything, but I kind of felt that same way where when I felt like, after the Raiders loss, after the Steelers loss, and it's like, all right, this team's maybe not going to be so great. I just wanted to at least by, 2/3 of the way through the season, I wanted to feel confident. Okay, we at least have our quarterback. And like I said, I hope the front office sees it the same way where, okay, we have our guy now. Now all these like riches that we've been sitting back on and not spending in the last three off seasons we can start spending that because we know that we have something that's actually worth building around instead of, taking a chance on fucking Mac Jones and trying to build around
Yeah.
him. I mean, that just would have been moronic if we had, 120 million in cap space. We're like, let's just go all in on Mac Jones right now. And I understand he's looked good when he's come in relief duty for Lawrence and Purdy, but I think we all are in
It's
agreement
also
here
in a
that we're
Shanahan offense. It's
yeah,
totally
I think we're
different.
feeling a lot better with Drake May at quarterback and this shitty team than Mac Jones in whatever system with whatever roster. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I mean that was more it. It was not that I was like ever doubting Drake May. It was like I just want to be stone cold certain that we have our guy.
gotcha. That's
Yeah.
fair. I
And
was
from my
just
perspective, like I said, I had May higher than Daniels pre-draft. Like I've
yeah.
always been an enormous Drake May fan. I was just like so down on the Patriots. I was like, they're gonna fucking ruin him. Like he's not gonna live up to the potential just because he's here. I've obviously like I've come off that for sure. But like after week one, I remember talking to people. I'm like, I just like fucking wish because I'm a big Drake May fan. I wish Minnesota traded up to three and he got paired with O'Connell and Addison
Oh,
and
it would have been
Jefferson because
insane.
I was like, he doesn't deserve this shit, like this stupid organization. And again, he's I think he's like Vrabel established a culture, which is great, but as far as the offense looking the way it does, like I give May almost all of that credit and like McDaniel's like very little credit for that.
No, I totally agree. I think it's mostly May. I think McDaniels has done a solid job, but he's not really scheming guys open that like it's not like May's throwing open guys constantly. Like he's finding tight windows. He's finding spaces in between the defense. He's really layering his passes well. Like I've been really impressed with him so far. I do think it's mostly
Yeah.
been May. Hasn't been as good of a rusher this year as I expected. Same with avoiding sacks, but as a passer, he's been excellent.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
on point.
I think the rushing's by design though. Like I think just due to the like the head hits he took last year,
That's fair.
I think you could even see that like in the preseason where it was like he was like kind of like fuck, do I like run here? Like you could kind of see that he was hesitant in like those or
Yeah.
scrambling situations.
Plus, he's sliding way more than he used to. Like last year, he was
Yeah,
pretty much always trying to fight for the extra yardage.
yeah, for sure.
There were a couple times where he slid, and one of the concussions was because he slid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think those are like the things that they can kind of like fine tune as you go through it. I mean, you see guys, right? I mean, like Lamar has obviously become unbelievable at just like avoiding things. People were so concerned about his size coming into the league and how he'd hold up. And people always thought, he'd be, injury prone because of his size, but he never gets touched. And it's the same thing even with Josh Allen, who plays way more physically than Lamar does. Like for how physical he is on his runs, he's never taking like insane hits. He's not getting like, hitting like the kidneys and, keeling over, or he's not really taking hits to the head or anything like that. And that's something that Jackson Dart has to work on as well. I mean, we saw it with last week's game where, him and Scadaboo were both going into the tent. But yeah, I mean, I think it is much more like, all right, let's kind of peel you back with the running and build up that passing, and then as we become more and more of an elite passer, that's when we can start working in more of those runs. And I think that's what's worked in Josh Allen's favor as well, is become much more of a quarterback than just a thrower. I think it opens up the running for him so much more because you have to respect that stuff. So you have to be like, all right, you know what, maybe he is going to drop back and pass here. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I just absolutely love everything that we've seen from that leap. I do think like the Drake May MVP hype is warranted at this point. I think right where he's at in the odds, he's like, between like 5 and 10. I think it's warranted for now.
Yeah, I'd put him
And
like
who knows how it'll
four or
pan out
five
with,
right now.
what the team record ends up being, all that. It seems like they're starting to almost decide that it's Mahomes' year with that shit. But yeah, I mean, he's carrying this team. Like he's carrying this offense. There's no run game. I mean, the wide receivers are much improved from last year. I think Diggs is fully back at this point, but it can still be way better. I think if we're ranking them in the league, I think they're still going to be in that bottom third. So, what he's been able to do and turn this team into that, I'm pretty hyped for it.
Now, where would you guys like if you were to rank this quarterback class, the 2024 quarterback class, how do you think you'd rank them right now? Would you still put Jaden Daniels at the top?
I
No, I
would.
put May at the top.
I'd put May
Yeah,
at
I
the
think
top,
I'd put May at the top too.
Yeah.
and I'd respect Daniels, and I'd put him like right below him. Like I don't think it's like this enormous gap,
Oh
but
yeah, I don't
I
I
mean
don't either.
I think sort of like the little bit of a sophomore slump that we might be seeing from Jaden Daniels, like maybe that is just recency bias, but I do feel like it was like all right, like we're seeing some of these guys, Bo Nix, that's happening to as well. where it's like, maybe they are settling in, a little bit, maybe we got a little out over our skis with the rookie year reactions. We saw it from CJ Stroud, his rookie year. And
Oh yeah,
and the stuff like it almost feels like it's more of that where it's like, all right, maybe they're gonna settle in more, if we're gonna be ranking them, maybe more towards like that 10 and give or take one or two spots, something like that. But I feel like Drake May is truly ascending. Like I just feel like what he is showing is like going to stick. And, of course, there are going to be the bad games. He's going to throw interceptions. That shit's going to happen. But I think what we're seeing out of him and then him showing and kind of like confirming our priors on him going into the draft, I think it's looking a lot more like, okay, he's establishing himself as the guy, as that ceiling that we were seeing for.
feel that.
But I mean, yeah, I think it's them two for sure, one and two. Um,
I low key might go Rattler at 3.
I'm liking him. I'm liking him. I mean, I definitely think that could be, maybe I don't know. I mean, I think he's in that discussion because I was gonna say I kind of put Penix and Caleb Williams in the same tier, and I'd probably put them next, like three and four.
Feel
I'm
that.
not really sure which order. Where it's like I see it, and when I see it, I really like it. But like, Caleb Williams has not been perfect. And I think a lot of people, a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
Bears fans are accusing people of being box score watchers, where I think that's kind of like what they're also doing and being like, oh, we got the win and we got this game-winning drive. But like, Caleb Williams, like he has like 50% of drives where it's like, holy shit, like this is the guy that we saw in his first year at USC, that Heisman season. And then he has ones where it's like, all right, like he's holding this offense back in a few spots where he's
Oh yeah.
missing throws or he's not making the right call on something or, just not making the right decision where, he has been far from perfect. And Penix is the same thing. I mean, Penix is more of like a Jekyll and Hyde to me where it's like he'll have like that crazy first half that he had against Buffalo, and then the second half comes around. And it's like, do you have 20 passing yards with like 5 minutes left in this half?
Yeah.
And it just feels like a team almost makes those adjustments in game, and then all of a sudden Penix like hits a wall where Caleb I think is more up and down throughout the whole game. But yeah, I mean I'd put them kind of in like that next tier for me, where it's like when I see the highs, like it's really really good, but they're just like way too inconsistent for me to fully be bought in. And
That's
then, but
definitely
yeah,
fair.
I think Rattler, I think he's interesting where I think you could argue him putting him either before or like immediately after them, where, he's looked really good. And I think he is starting to kind of raise the floor of that offense as well.
Yeah, yeah. They've been a lot more impressive than I expected them to be so far with Rattler. I mean, they've been in every game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the thing,
I'm also like a huge Kellen Moore fan, and I have a friend that's a Cowboys fan, and I'm like, you guys are so fucking stupid for letting Kellen Moore leave the building. Like McCarthy should have been fired years ago, and you should have just
Oh
promoted
yeah.
Kellen Moore.
McCarthy was terrible.
Awful.
it's like even seeing like, I've seen like, route chart comparisons for like Devontae Smith and AJ Brown last year to this year, and like the creativity that was going into moving them around, having them run different routes versus what they're doing this year, and it also compares to what they were doing the year before Kellen Moore, where their passing game was very vanilla. So it's very clear that Kellen Moore, had a massive impact on that Eagles offense, which appears to be taking a step back this year. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think with Rattler, like he is looking really good. And I think part of my hesitation is just that I've been burned in the past, like a couple times by seeing guys where it's like, I think that they're showing enough where I'm not totally sold on this upcoming quarterback class. And I think they should just ride it out with this guy and see maybe, hey, give him a second year, give him the reins. I thought Davis Mills was a guy like that, where it's like, I thought he looked good enough where, hey, use this high pick on like a different position that could really give you a
Yeah.
cornerstone for your team, see what he has, and it's like worst case scenario or maybe best case scenario, you guys are just right back at the top of the draft next year and you can just take that quarterback. So, I mean, I just haven't been as into the quarterbacks from recent classes, where I've been more in favor of sitting, just sitting on these guys. And I think Rattler's that guy where it's like I feel like he's playing well enough now, and we'll see how it goes for the remaining 11 games of the year, right? He could always hit a wall and just completely lose it.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now, if he continues this, like I think the Saints are in position to just say, fuck it, like let's just take like the top, whoever the top prospect's going to be, or trade this first or second overall pick for a haul, and kind of fill out the roster better that way. I mean, the Saints are always in cap hell anyways, and people always like to laugh and say that cap hell doesn't exist, but we're literally seeing it with the Saints right now, and
Yeah.
we could be seeing it with the once Stafford retires, we could see it with the Rams. Like you just never know. But yeah, I mean these teams that do kick the can, we saw it with the Patriots for a little bit as well. Like teams that kick the can down the road, eventually they do have to kind of pay up. So I think if the Saints are a team like that where they have all these contracts, they can trade off some of these veterans, they can trade off some of these other guys, and just go for a clean, fresh start and say, you know what? Let's see if he can give it to us for another year and potentially, years after that. So, yeah, I think Rattler is, either 5 or 3, depending on how you feel about him.
Yeah,
Real
that's
quick on the
definitely fair.
Saints too, like a player I want the Patriots to target in the spring is Rashid Shaheed.
I would love to
All
see
in
it.
on him.
And
Bring
that's kind of
bring
what
him
I was
He'd be
here.
talking about
awesome
too,
with
where it's
that.
like if they're looking to sell him now, then it's like, fuck it, like just go and get him now. Like, what do we have to lose? Like, we have a spot for him to stretch the field, for us, just like with his speed. And then also, if we can just pay the price for him and guarantee that we get him right now instead of playing the game and taking a risk in free agency, then I'd rather play it safe because we have so much space. Like, we can just extend him or we can sign him to another contract or something like that. So, kind of get that familiarity. But yeah, I'm totally in favor of just giving Drake May a weapon like that. I think that would be huge, and it's kind of exactly what the offense needs.
Feel that.
Because like what do we really have for speed?
All we got is Williams, and he
Yeah.
barely plays.
Yeah, and I mean I'm interested to see the development there. I mean, we saw Luther Burden come out of the bye week and, he led the Bears receivers and yards and shit. And I mean, I think Rome had some bad luck that kind of prevented him from getting more stats. But I mean, Williams was what, third round guy and
Oh
coming
yeah.
out of a smaller school. So it's like fuck. I mean, maybe he does need just a little more time to adjust. And I mean, we're just fine without him right now. So I mean, if he can just learn a little bit more and maybe come out of the bye week and start giving us something, then that would also just be a massive addition to a solid room that we already have.
I'm definitely still a believer in his too. Like he was one of my favorite receiver prospects coming out of this class. I think I had him like fourth or fifth.
Yeah, I was into him too. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it would have been, I think a lot of people were loving the idea of him and Cam Ward reuniting, when they used to play together and them taking him in Tennessee. And sure, I mean, maybe if he was in that situation, he'd be getting more opportunities and then, it'd be more free. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it looks like he's getting worked in, right? I think he had like 2 targets last week and, they're
Yeah.
just missing on some deep balls. But
He is getting
um,
more snaps
yeah,
a little bit week by
yeah.
week.
So it'll happen. He'll at least get his
That's one of my like that's like my main critique of McDaniels too is like no rookie receiver ever works out. And like this isn't a case of where it's like Tyquan Thornton. I know Tyquan Thornton's, sort of having or sort of rejuvenated this year, but like he was a fifth round pick and they took him in the second round. Like Kyle Williams, they probably actually got a little bit later than most people projected him to go. So he's a legitimate like NFL receiver. So
Yeah.
to me, like they should be able to find ways to get him on the field and have him produce. But I mean, not like major stats, but he should be get catching a couple balls a week.
Yeah, like why
No,
not? Yeah,
I
like they
totally
should
agree.
just be kind of like, all right, we're gonna put you in, we're gonna run you deep, we're gonna toss it up, and even if it's like 1 or 2 chances just to go and get a ball, or just giving him like an easy layup or something, just to like scheme up 2 plays for him every week. Like why not?
Yeah,
But
especially because not only is he a good deep ball guy, but he's one of the best yak guys you have.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
use
been
him
an
like how the Lions used JMO last week. Like
Yeah,
just give him a couple plays like that.
yeah,
100%.
That's
But
and
yeah,
it's funny
McDaniel's
because that's
never.
really what it's been with JMO too, where he's had like a ton of basically unrealized air yards because they've just been a little off. And, a guy like that, it's like, there's going to be the ebbs and the flows, but then all of a sudden you get in that pocket of it just working out, and it's going to be like, holy shit, he's just going to go on. Quentin Johnson's another guy like that, where, he just goes on tears of like 3, 4 games where he's going to score, he's going to have like a 40-yard catch, and then, on top of a few more catches there. And yeah, I mean, that's just been something that we've kind of been missing forever in New England.
That's true.
All right. Should we get to the rankings?
yep.
All
Let's
right, let
do
me.
it.
Oh, one last thing. the Bills, you were saying that you don't think that win's gonna look that good at the end of the year. I totally agree. I think without Allen, like if you threw an average quarterback in there, they're like a 6-win team.
Yeah, it's a brutal team. Just like good at nothing.
Legit. It's such
Yeah, and
a
it's like, okay,
mediocre
Josh
roster.
Allen, everyone was like, oh, they got rid of Diggs and they were just as good. Josh Allen had his best year, won the MVP. Yeah, they still didn't win shit. Like,
Yeah.
word. Like,
I
okay.
mean the secondary is total dog shit. Like that's a major issue.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like the defense is just bad. And yeah, I think that's just like the issue that they're running into, where it's like, all right, like the everybody eats mentality on offense, like that was cute last year, but um, it's just not working. Like Khalil Shakir, I think he's really good, but like if that's like your by far your best receiver, I think you're in a little bit of trouble. And
Oh
Keon
yeah.
Coleman, like he clearly has the ability to like pop, but he has absolutely not been able to put it together and kind of take that step. I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of like, maybe he could be like really sneaky this year if he just kind of puts it together. But he had that big game in week one. Kind of had a fluky touchdown catch that was off like a deflection or whatever. But yeah, it's like ever since then he's just been kind of shit. So, um, all right, let's get to these rankings. We're 45 minutes in. Let's
Damn.
let's get to the main topic here, all right? Yeah, I guess I'll just do this one. All right. Let me know you guys can see. Okay, you guys can see it.
Yes.
All right, we'll go bottom up. We'll start from the bottom. Yeah, we'll kind of just feel our way through this list. Maybe we'll group some teams together. I think this is maybe a good spot to start. So, consensus had the 12 and the 11. We all had Frank, your team, as well as Josh Winsper and Mike Bowen's team. Um, Frank, I don't know. Do you want to just maybe speak on the state of your team right now? How you're feeling?
Um, I kind of wish I didn't tank because some of those running backs I traded away are way better than I expected them to be. Um, I
Like
think
who?
it'll end.
I honestly forget who are some of the backs.
So I traded away Javonte Williams for like nothing. It was like 2 third-round picks and fucking the Raiders rookie receiver. Because I thought he was going to be like mid this year. I thought he'd get carries, but I didn't think he was going to be anywhere near top 10.
Yeah, neither did I.
And then J.K. Dobbins, I traded him away, and I traded DeAndre Swift away. And it's like I might have made the playoffs if I just
And
stuck to my team.
and Krosky Merritt, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I traded away Bill too. So it's like I might have
If you
made the
had those
playoffs.
four right now, you'd have like you'd have one of like the best running back rooms in the league, I think.
I know. I'm bummed.
Like you could just start them four, and then you'd have like Pickens in your wide receiver, and then McBride as well, and Drake May obviously popping off. Being
Even
like a
without
fantasy stud.
JJ, I think like especially with some of the matchups I've had, like week one, Zach didn't score shit.
Yeah,
I would have beat him if I didn't forget to start somebody anyways.
yeah.
So like I'd be like probably 3 wins right now, maybe 4. I think 3 probably.
But I mean, I think that's kind of where you want to be, especially with the fact that you are 12th right now, and I think. I'd have to check. I was looking at the standings earlier, but I do believe that with the max points for, and I was telling you about the lottery system. I believe you are still slotted into that number one pick, which of course you have like a 95% chance of getting the first overall pick, and you're
Yeah.
like guaranteed to be in the top two. So I think you have Drake May, you have George Pickens, you have Trey McBride, right, Trey McBride, that's your tight end.
No, I didn't get rid of him. Yeah. I
Yeah,
still got
so
him.
and then you kind of control your destiny with getting the first overall pick, and at worst you're a top two lock. So it's like, yeah, I mean you have stuff there. So it's like, you don't want to be total dog shit and have nothing. You want to be really bad and then and still have something to be excited about. So you could be in much worse places, but
Oh,
yeah, I
definitely.
mean,
I mean, I
yeah,
don't
I
think
think at the very
it's
least, if you did keep those running backs in hindsight, which is always 2020, but you could at least you could probably be trading them for more now, especially a guy like
oh,
Javonte Williams.
definitely.
You could be demanding a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, that one I don't like the Swift trade I'm not upset with. Like I thought that one was decent value. I could have got more for Dobbins. Like I probably could have traded away a worse pick to Bowen in that one, but I don't mind that either because I like Benson for the future. But the
Yeah, that's
one
right.
that really bugs me is the Javonte Williams one. That was fucking terrible.
Honestly
Yeah.
though, like I don't like fault you though. Like he's looked like total ass for like 3 years now
Oh
since the
yeah,
knee
Yeah,
injury.
no, I mean, nobody
I did
saw this
not see
season
this
coming.
coming
I
at
think everybody
all.
saw that backfield is just undesirable, and like okay, like maybe you could, and this still could very well be the case, but maybe you could fall ass backwards into just like a volume-based producer from that backfield, but knowing that they're not going to be like the long-term solution. But yeah, I mean, he's been bad. That Cowboys backfield has been, kind of like mid the last couple of years. And, I think Dowdle was great for what he was last year. Obviously, he's been fantastic this year, but I think that he was also kind of held back by like just like the run scheme last year. Like they just didn't seem to have things figured out. They didn't seem to prioritize the run game at all these last couple of years. So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, it's easy to say now, like, oh shit, like you could have traded him for way more,
Well,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Hindsight's
he's
twenty
fucking
twenty for
stunk,
sure.
yeah. And they also, I think people were high on Jaden Blue. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of reasons. But I mean, Amaral knows as well. It's all part of the dynasty experience. I think everybody goes through like those types of lumps when it comes to dynasty football and figuring things out. And there's the ups and downs with that too. And you're also gonna have your trades where it's like, holy shit, like in hindsight, I fucking robbed that person. Um, I mean, you were texting me about one that I'd offer you where it was like Kayshon Boutte and Brenton Strange, and I just wanted
Yeah,
like
fuck. Yeah,
one
that
pick.
I
And
wish I took that one. That would have been nice.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like that. I think every single person in our league like has those stories where it's like, fuck, I cannot believe I traded that person away and did that. But yeah, okay, yeah, we're all in agreement with that. Mikey's team, I mean, if we were kind of doing like full dynasty outlook. I think they have an argument to be 12th. Go Tigers. That team
They're
just
12.
stinks.
If we weren't just doing this here, they're definite like 12. And like how we've done it in the past with the tiered system, that in all caps would be the hell tier, the
Oh
Go
yeah, I mean like
Tigers.
there's just like, I mean I've heard rumblings that Mike Bowen and I'm saying this he just beat me this week, but let's make a couple things clear. First of all, I fucked myself there. I posted in the group chat the Jim Calhoun picture, but I fucked up. I mean, I just wanted a little bit of action on that London game. I was just having visions of Justin Fields rushing for 2 touchdowns and me sitting on my couch eating my bagel with him on my bench looking like an asshole.
Yeah.
I didn't love the matchup Darnold had against the Jacksonville defense, which has allowed or which has forced a turnover every single week up until last week. Lesson learned. I mean, like Sam Darnold is just my guy. I think I might have found like the next Jared Goff, but that's neither here nor there. I fucked up. If I started Sam Darnold over either of my quarterbacks, I'm pretty sure I won that matchup against Mike Bowen. Also, I didn't have a tight end. I just got screwed. I thought I was good with Hawkinson and Brenton Strange as my two tight ends. Brenton Strange decides to go on IR as Hawkinson's going into his bye week. So I got screwed there. I was not going to make like a panic trade for AJ Barner and give up like a second round pick to get him just so I could have a starter this week. Like I have my tight ends. It happened. So I got screwed by that as well. So Mike Bowen should not be feeling like he's like all of a sudden coming back because he beat me this week. I fucked up. I started Justin Fields. You happy? But his team stinks. This team is terrible. Okay, they got
Like he needs
Carson
a tear down.
Merritt.
Like
Rashad White, he's stepping up in Bucky Irving's absence. Okay, Joe Burrow, he's on the IR. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams. The team's terrible. They started Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts this week. Like, it's broke. They don't have
he's gotta
picks.
like he's gotta trade Jefferson. Like that's gonna be the like rip off the Band-Aid and just trade
Right,
him.
like I was saying, I was talking to a team that I
He
won't
really has
name.
no bench.
What's that?
I was just saying, I'm looking at his team right now. He really has like nobody on the bench that does
No,
anything.
the bench stinks. Like he's barely filling out a starting lineup. So it's like I think as far as like full dynasty outlook goes, like this is maybe the most bleak that we have, in the league where it's like, you're starting Trey Tucker, dude. Like what the hell's going on with you? So it's bro. I mean, he's got a piece like Cam Scatterbo, good for him. But yeah, I mean, I do think that
And
Justin
he's
Jefferson
got
is
Bill
like
now. I
that.
traded him Bill.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then but it's like Jefferson is like that break in case of emergency player where it's like shit. Like you are. as like bone dry as it gets. Like you kind of have to trade him for as many picks as you can get, or to get like maybe tear down like two wide receiver tiers and get a few picks with that as well. But it's like I think he just needs to start doing that shit. You might have to trade Joe Burrow. Like you might have to trade both of those guys, the
Yeah.
guys that make you go Tigers. You might have to trade the lifeblood of your team just to have a chance at sustainability in this league. So, I mean, that's just a bleak team. Like you
He
said,
really doesn't
Amaral, if
have
we were
many
doing the old
picks, does
system, they
he?
would easily be in the hell tier.
Yeah, he doesn't have very many picks either.
And
No,
I don't,
it's bad.
and I don't think they have their own picks, so it's not even, like
They've got my
they got
second
their
round
own,
pick
okay, they
this
got
year,
their
which
own
is a solid one.
27, they got their own 28, so it's like, okay, they got to wait 2 years for that. Yeah, it's like, I think that you should just start stripping it down with like some of those like marquee guys and start building up for those draft classes. And, I mean, but whatever. This is, if Mike Bowen just admitted that this was his seventh most important league, like I think I'd get off his ass. But he tries to act like he's fully bought in, and then he'll be talking to his brother at Thanksgiving, and he'll have no clue, like, oh shit, like, you have that guy now. Like, he's got no clue what's going on. So, um, if he was just honest about how he treats this league, I'd feel much better. But the fact that he tries to pretend and lie to my face when I know the truth, it hurts my feelings. So. All right, moving up. Yeah, we're gonna go bottom up. We're just gonna go by the consensus rankings, and we could talk about how we had it individually ranked. Maybe we can do these two teams together as well. Maybe this next tier of three teams. I feel like I'm looking at it how we ranked them, and it's kind of just how we all had it out. So we got two pins, we got the slow stroke kings, and we got the cucks. So you guys hate my team. Thank you very much. I ranked two pins in the Cucks much lower, lower. I had them as the 10, and then I had the Cucks as the 9. I'm looking now, you had them 7, 8, two pins, 10, 9. So you guys were low on two pins as well. So I guess we can kind of shit on two pins and then maybe suss it out between the Slow Stroke Kings and the Cucks. But starting with two pins, this is another just bleak team. I mean, I think that they're closer to being in that Mike Bowen tier than being with me and the Cucks and then, any other team that you might see there. I mean, okay, they got Mahomes, they got Jaden Daniels, they got Penix, especially with the scoring change this year, going to the points per first down. I mean, quarterbacks are gold in this league. That did. I think the biggest fallout from that is that having two quarterbacks, which I think that is kind of how a super flex league should be set up, but having two quarterbacks is much more important than it maybe was in the first 5 years in the first iteration of this league. But it's like you start looking at that team too, and everything that we were saying about Go Tigers, it's kind of the same thing where I kind of had that realization today. I saw highlights of Alvin Kamara from a few years ago, and I realized he's not the same. Okay, he could probably go to another team. He could look really good. He could maybe contribute down the stretch for a playoff team this year, but he's clearly not the game changer that he was 3, 4, 5 years ago. But they got Stevenson. They're starting him. They got Jalen Warren. Like, okay, you're starting Cooper Kupp. You're starting Hollywood Brown with Rashee Rice coming back. It's just not a great team. Like, I mean, I think that they might want to be looking at, trading off one of those quarterbacks. Maybe they can get a crazy haul for Jamar Chase, but that bench is brutal. I mean, we see they just made a trade for Isaiah Pacheco, which I think is insane. Pacheco does me no good. He's absolutely useless. They got Brian Robinson, Troy Franklin, Tyler Lockett is in there. It's just a bad team. They have their own first, which is why they should definitely be, maybe in like a half tier above Go Tigers. But I think this is another team where it's just, they have their cornerstones, but everything else that fills out that starting lineup and that bench is just terrible. So they definitely have more outs than Go Tigers does, but I think this two pins team is very bad. Frank, you had them ninth, but Amaral and I both had them 10th. We have anything else to say on them? We're kind of in lockstep with them being that third worst team.
Yeah, I think you covered it. I think they
Yeah, that's
like
pretty fair.
if I was in their position, like I'm moving Jamar. Like they missed the boat on Cooper Cup. Like they had you kind of see the writing on the wall that like things are gonna fade for them. So I think like Chase, Kamara, these guys should have been moved when they had more value. But
Yeah,
now I think
definitely.
it's really down to guys like Jamar Chase. Um, if they want to build around those quarterbacks, probably got to move Chase to get a few players in return or a couple more picks, whatever it is, just start building up some
Yeah,
depth.
exactly what we were just saying about Go Tigers and Justin Jefferson, where it's like that just feels like their easiest out. Like you want to do that. And then, I think, wouldn't be the most unwise, especially if Penix can kind of solidify himself. Maybe you look to trade a Jaden Daniels or a Pat Mahomes, and, you could definitely get, a pretty crazy haul for that as well. Because having three quarterbacks, I mean, even Penix could just be the guy that you trade, but having three quarterbacks of, that level in Dynasty is maybe a little bit of overkill, just when you're playing for bye weeks and shit like that. So, you could definitely get yourself a pretty solid third quarterback and use, kind of more of that equity to fill out other spots on the roster. But all right, moving up, we'll do my team versus the Cucks kind of. So I had my team seventh. Amaral, you had the Cucks seventh. Frank, you had them eighth. I had them ninth. Amaral, you had me ninth, and Frank, you had me 10th. Um, I mean, listen, my team has not been scoring a ton of points. Um, but I think I've just been a victim of some bad luck, some bad management. I think, maybe I can be a little too much of a tinkerer. And when I start to let my heart get in the way of my decisions, I'm at my best when I'm deciding, I'm making decisions purely based off the data. I'm just using my brain. I'm leaving the emotion out of it. But sometimes I just think of too good of a storyline, too good of a narrative. I look for something and then I fall in love with something that I see, and I get in my own way. But I mean, I'm a couple bounces away from. I mean, the thing is, right? I was just talking about my loss to Mike Bowen. That game, that matchup with Mike Bowen, fuck Sam Darnold versus Justin Fields. That game looks a lot different if Jalen Hurts just connects with Devontae Smith on that 90-yard touchdown.
True.
The, they connect on that, I literally win the matchup because that was 15 points right there. I lost by 12. So, outside of all that, Drake London, right? I mean, it wouldn't have won me the matchup, but his toe dragging on that sideline, that's 6 points right there that I could have added. Then all of a sudden I could have felt bad about not getting myself a tight end and playing to win that week or something like that. But I do think that I'm a little bit better than maybe 10th behind two pins. That did hurt a little bit, Frank. I can't lie.
Yeah,
Um,
that it probably looking at your teams again, it probably was a little too low. He probably should be 10 and you should be 9. Because his bench really is terrible.
That's the thing.
Plus
Like I
you've got
just,
guys on the
maybe I don't
IR
have those.
too.
Maybe I don't have the Pat Mahomes. Maybe I don't have the Jamar Chase. I mean, Drake London is very much ascending in my eyes, but I do think just,
Oh, he's nasty.
ability wise, like there is just a difference between a Drake London and a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, even. Like those guys just have like that bounce that a lot of guys don't have. But yeah, I just think that my team is one like way deeper. Um, but I also think, like I said, a couple more bounces and all of a sudden we could be looking at my team a little bit differently. Like I very well could have been 3-3 coming out of this. I think if you look back at some of my matchups, I do have potential to be a 4-win team. Also, my team for some reason every year just starts out slow, which is just a bizarre trend to have. In Dynasty, this is not real. I don't know what it is, but I get off to like those Cincinnati Bengals starts where, I end up playing some really good fantasy football by the end of the season, but it's usually too little too late because of my slow starts. But yeah, I mean, I just think I'm closer to being a fringe playoff team than I am like a fringe lottery team. And I think if anything, you would just say that I'm in the middle of that, where I could fall either inside or out. But I think if we're looking at what that four lottery teams are going to be, like I think I'm at worst that fourth lottery team than I am that third. Then we can get into the cucks. But Amro, maybe you can lead us into that talk. So maybe walk us through your ranking of my team and then also of the Cucks because you actually had the highest of us three.
Yeah, I mean, so I think like the bottom three is like, or Frank, you're probably alone by yourself if we're going on just this year. And then 10 and 11, two pins, go Tigers. I think both of them. But I think you, me, and the Cucks are all in that same tier, I would say, like that, 7 to 9 range. Um, so I think it's really like a coin flip. I think you could pick any one of our three teams as the first, second, or third, rank them in any order. Um, but with the Cucks first, I mean, assuming they get Purdy back here, soon. I like Jordan Love and Purdy as their two quarterbacks. McCaffrey alone, like if McCaffrey's going to be healthy and catch a million balls like this, like he's running back two right now. I don't foresee that changing at all. Um, Jordan Mason, like he has the both Vikings backs. Um, I like that more than what you have at with Woody Marks just as of right now. Like, of course, Marks had that one blow up game. And I hope Houston like gets their shit together and sort of figures things out and like starts using the rookie receivers more. And like Woody Marks is like clearly better than Nick Chubb at this point, so I don't really know what they're doing. But as of right
He's coming out of
now,
the bye. He'll get that rookie bump.
I hope so. I hope so. Um, and then like tight ends, like I don't know, Hawkinson just has looked like shit to this point. Goddard's getting he's scoring, but he's also getting a ton of volume as you know, Jalen Hurts, like number one target right now. Um, Cortland Sutton's had a couple terrible games, but still a big believer in Cortland Sutton. Debo's playing well. So that's kind of the case for the Cucks. Where's your team here? Yeah, I mean, listen, I told you earlier, I like some of your pieces as well. Like I like what you have with the three quarterbacks. Obviously, love London. A big Olave fan. I would like for you to have a third receiver that's a little bit more consistent between JMO and Devontae. If one of those guys can emerge, then I think you're probably a playoff team. But at this point, but they're both super inconsistent. So um, yeah, that's why I had you behind the Cucks. It's really just I would say McCaffrey and Goddard. I think are like if Goddard's going to continue to produce like this, which I do have my doubts, but if he's going to continue to produce like this, like that's a such a weekly matchup advantage. What he's creating there, I think it's the number three tight end in fantasy right now.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is more. I'm looking at it and I'm just seeing, my team is significantly younger, and they're older. But I mean, also vets definitely play when it comes to fantasy football, and that's typically the way to go in terms of redraft. And while this is a dynasty league, year by year, it's still redraft mentality of okay, I got to win this week, I got to make the playoffs because. Some teams do fall in love with just like the constant rebuilding and they're in it for the love of the game there. But there is money on the line every year that you can win if you win the league or put up a bunch of points or come in third place. So yeah, I think when I look at that, but I also just see, I do look at my team and I see the upside that maybe hasn't been there, right? Like Devontae Smith has been um, disappointing, and it's to no fault of his own. Like I think it very much is just like the offense that he's currently stuck in. Olave, the volume's been great, but we're not in a volume league anymore, right? He's not been scoring the touchdowns, which becomes a lot more important. And JMO is the boomer bust, but I mean, I do think I very much have, and it's a tough week coming off of last week. Justin Fields was so bad. Matt Stafford put up like 8 points, but I do think I have one of the more underrated quarterback rooms in the league right now. Just the fact that Sam Darnold, I was touching on it earlier, where I think he's emerging as just a really good quarterback that, might be the guy in Seattle. I think a lot of people going into this year, were looking at how they essentially traded Geno Smith to get Sam Darnold and whatever, and everybody was just going off of how Geno played last year and how Darnold played in those final 2 games of the season, and they thought it was like a steal. But now we're seeing, the Seahawks might have totally dodged a bullet by letting Geno go for like a third round pick and then signing Darnold for cheaper than what Geno ended up getting. So, I think Darnold's starting to emerge. I think he's becoming a building block for my team. But I think what you're saying, Emerald, too, like with that tier of me, you, and the Cucks is pretty accurate. And I think we're kind of looked at as the expected sellers, right? I think a lot of teams are looking and waiting to see, how long are we going to play kind of chicken with us and making the playoffs, and what do we think our chances are? And I do think that in a year like this, there is more of a reason to hold on. Like, I mean, I think let me look just to confirm. Like, I'm only 2 games out of a playoff spot right now. And you're 1 game, you're 2 games out of first place in our division. Like, some scheduling luck, and all of a sudden you could just be in the playoffs. Even if your team isn't the best team in the league or something. So, we have a trade deadline that comes up. We're figuring that out. But Yeah, I think we are the teams that people are kind of looking to see. Of course, Frank's team could be looking to make trades. Same with Mikey, same with Two Pins, like we were just saying. But as far as us kind of sitting on the fence and making a decision of, are we going to commit and try and make the playoffs, or are we going to try and, maybe tank a little bit? Amaral, you're a team that has your own first round pick, so it's more of controlling your destiny. And I feel like you have more of that freedom to kind of say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to trade these guys off, try and take my pick, get in that lottery, and see what happens from there. But I mean, I'm a team that's certainly open for business. I've been shopping guys around, right? I mean, I think Darnold, like I said, that's a team that or that's a guy that I definitely want to hang on to and try and pair another quarterback with him. But Fields and Stafford, those could be potential league-winning quarterbacks this year. I mean, I've kind of opened the door to Devontae Smith being available. I think Montgomery could be really good for a playoff team. So, anybody listening, I mean, I'm definitely open for business, and I'm looking for whether it's a player or a pick. I just want to feel like I'm getting a piece that's contributing, right? I'm not looking to get like a early second round pick for Devontae Smith and like re-roll on like a wide receiver or something. I'm not. I don't think that like Devontae Smith stinks now. I think that he's just, kind of, in like a lull with that offense, and I think that I'm pretty deep at wide receiver now, so I can try and start reallocating those guys to maybe focus more on getting a second quarterback, getting another running back. And don't sleep on me next year. Jonathan Brooks is going to be back. He's like 22 coming off an ACL. Whatever. He's going to be fine. I might have a studly running back room next year when it's all said and done. So, all right, we'll move forward now. We kind of covered it with Two Pins, myself, the Cucks. We touched on your team, Amaral. I mean, you were the lowest on that team. I mean, Frank and I, we both had you a little bit higher, but I mean, I think it is kind of like what I was just saying, where if you chose to maybe make some moves and maybe commit more to making that playoff push, I think you could still very well be in it. So right now, I just have you being like the stronger of that tier of teams. So let's stop in the middle there and let's look at Wallace's team. I love my mom, so we have them 6, 7, 8. Consensus evens that right out to 7. Um, I think this is a team that when we check back in and we do power rankings in a couple weeks, they could be a little bit lower. I think that he's holding out hope and he sees himself very much still as a contender. But I mean, this team stinks. Like this is like a name value team. You got Derrick Henry. He's been awful. He might be washed. He's in a really bad offense with Cooper Rush playing quarterback right now. Breece Hall has not looked great. I think a lot more attention will be on him in that Jets offense. And yeah, I'm just not impressed with that team when I look at it up and down. I think that it's kind of in that, Amaral, you'd understand this better than Frank because Frank wasn't around last year, but kind of in that occasional Vibers team where, 2 years ago that team looked great, but they kind of just stayed the same year over year, and just got really stale. I feel like Wallace's team was just stale at this point. And I think if anything, being at 7 is kind of, as good as it gets for him. Maybe he could bump up into that 6 spot, but I think that he's more of like, a team that's on the outside looking in, and it's going to take a lot of luck for him just to be that sixth team.
Yeah, and I think he's actually probably part of the same tier as us. Like, it's probably a 4 team tier. Like
Yeah,
he's
that's probably fair.
gonna be like scratching and clawing for a playoff berth. Again, I mean, he just has like some like major disappointments. Like obviously Tyreek going out, Brock Bowers not staying healthy. Those are major losses. But that like I think the biggest issue with his team is that like he has Ken Walker and Charbonnet, and it's just like the most dreadful split of all time.
Even like,
Like,
starting like Keenan Allen and Jerry Jeudy, like, I
yeah.
mean, that's just like, that's not guys that you can be like confident in every week. Of course, they're going to have their weeks. Maybe, like, I mean, I don't even know if Jerry Jeudy's going to have that unless he gets traded somewhere. But, Trevor Lawrence, he's been, playing pretty well the last 2 weeks, but Kyler Murray got concussed by a snap. Like that offense has just been bad. And like that Arizona team just kind of feels like a dead in the water team. I mean, I don't know how they're feeling about Gannon. He's definitely a bit of a weirdo. I definitely love the Kendall Roy comparisons with him. But like that Drew Petzig, he's terrible. He's an awful offensive coordinator. But Connor going down, Benson then getting hurt, Marv Harrison getting injured playing the Colts, like, like that's just like bad vibes. Like I just feel like that's a bad vibes team that I don't really want any part of right now for this season. So I just look at that roster, I look at that bench, Kareem Hunt on the bench, like, you know, Pat Bryant and Ryan Flournoy and Calvin Ridley. Like it's just an ugly, ugly team, and that's why like they really are like the new era vibers where they have some guys, and I kind of feel like the Cucks almost have like that same sort of vibe to them where they have the names, but it's like this is not like a team that I'd really want to take over. Like I would not be happy if I was taking over an orphan team in a dynasty league and this was it. I would be kind of pissed off. Yeah, I'm not high on Wallace. I had him ranked the lowest at 8. But I mean, we all kind of have him in the same spot. And like you said, Amaral, he probably does belong in that tier with us. Frank, you got any thoughts on Wallace's team? I love my mom.
No, that was pretty fair.
All right, we'll move up into I guess what like this would be the playoff tier. I mean, it's the top 5 teams. I do think there's a tier break. I mean, I think right now we're dealing with, I don't want to say 5 locks to make the playoffs, but I do think that there are, 5 teams that are more the cream of the crop, and the rest of us, the teams that we've already discussed, we're the ones that are fighting for those last 1 or 2 spots. But I mean, we'll start with the biggest turnaround. I mean, McMorrow's team has been by far the worst team for what, Emerald, the last 2 years at least.
2 years,
Um,
yeah, 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I ranked him fourth. You guys both had him fifth. I think it's a fair argument between the two. I'm not going to nitpick there. But I mean, that's a good team right now. I mean, that is
Yeah,
a team that a lot of people I think were down on the fact that, he was basically relying on all these draft picks, and people were saying, he's got to trade some of these for guys. You can't rely on all these picks to hit. And, hey, we're 6 games in, but I mean, right now things are looking pretty good. I mean, at least for a hit rate. I mean, Ted McMillan is 100% a hit. Judkins was able to come back from all the legal stuff, and despite missing training camp, he has looked like very much looked like a stud back. Bucky Irving, he's hurt right now, but Bucky has been Bucky this year, right? I mean, he's giving him what he was hoping for, and he's like Ashton Genty, he's like 4 running backs deep every week. He could definitely use some room for improvement at that wide receiver. I think that he was looking to make moves, and he has a million picks to play with. But I mean, he could go out, find those wide receivers. Jackson Dart is looking amazing. Daniel Jones has been playing unbelievable this year. The
yeah, he's
fact that he
been
has
really
Cam
surprising
Ward,
at
and
quarterback.
Cam Ward was a guy that, I mean, he 100% could have let Cam Ward slip to like the 10th or 11th pick. I tried getting that message across in all the mock drafts I was doing. But what the hell do I know? And then sure enough, when we get through the first round, he says, shit, I probably could have done that. Yeah, like I said, on like 4 straight mock drafts, but whatever. Everybody thinks I'm an idiot in this league. So, the fact that he can kind of sit back and let Cam Ward develop, and I think Cam Ward will look fine. I've seen very polarizing opinions on him. A lot of tape versus stat arguments, like whatever. I think he's looked fine. I think that if I think what scares me the most about Cam Ward is the incompetency, and I actually don't trust Tennessee to make the right moves to build around him and get a good coach and figure it out with the GM and what they want to do. But that's another discussion that we can have. But I mean, this is a good team. This is a good team. They're already a good team, and he has a million ways with all those picks and some of the players if he wants to trade them as well to add on talent and start to build out the rest of that roster. So I think the fact that these are kind of the bare bones of what McMorrow's working with, that's looking pretty good. I mean, Frank, as a team that right now is the consensus 12th team in this league, you should know that McMorrow was putting up records for, how he was scoring like 40 points a week. So, I'd kind of like to get your perspective, seeing that this is what, a team can turn into if you kind of strip it down and build around it. What do you think McMorrow's team right now? How do you have him ranked fifth?
I think they've been like really surprising. I thought they'd be solid because I liked a lot of his draft picks, but he's basically hit on like every first round pick he did except for kind of Ward, but it really doesn't matter because he's got Daniel Jones who's been ridiculous and Dart's been great, especially from a
Tyler
rushing
Warren has
perspective.
been, as promised. And I mean, Warren was a guy that I was a big defender of because, I mean, and, he got Loveland too, but, I
Loveland
was
I
just getting,
thought would be better.
yeah, I was just getting tired though of the people, and I was never against either one of them, but it's like the people that were acting like Colson Loveland was like far and away the better prospect. It's like, oh, his athletic profile is. Tyler Warren last year put up like Colson Loveland's whole career.
Yeah.
Like his stats were insane. He had like 1,600 yards, and people were just like, yeah, but this other guy is like clearly way better. It's like, I don't know. Like, why are we ignoring college production? He's coming from, and I'm not, Fryermuth and Brenton Strange and then these guys, like, they're not like elite tight ends, but they're very, very good pro tight ends. So it's like, yeah, okay, Tyler Warren sat behind some of those guys at like what was sort of like tight end university. This is like a tight end factory, and we're punishing him for kind of breaking out a little bit later. I don't know. Like, relax. Like, but
I with
yeah,
Loveland, I more so just thought he would translate better to the league. Like I thought that Michigan offense was one of the big reasons he didn't put up a lot of stats.
and I think he still can. I mean, like, I think he's looked good in the touches that he's gotten. I mean, he got unlucky with that PI that they called on him. That was like a ridiculous call this past week. But I mean, he was hurt like all throughout camp. I think he was like on the shelf when he got drafted, so he couldn't even start working out right away. And then he's been dealing with like some sort of hip injury as well. So I mean, you would have liked to see him come out of the bye week healthy and ready to go. I think he was still kind of dealing with it, but it is kind of just like everyone kind of moves at a different pace. So I'm absolutely not ruling him out. It's just I was a Warren defender in the draft process, so I kind of wanted to just give him his flowers there. But I mean, yeah, I mean, McMorrow's been great, and the fact that he has unlimited ammo to go out and he can basically just do the thing where he can name the price and say, you know what, I'll just pay you this, and you're gonna give me this player because it's an offer you can't refuse. So, Amro, how are you feeling about him?
I mean, it is impressive. It was tough. Like it was honestly like a bad thing for the league, his team the last couple of years, like where he
I
didn't
mean,
even
it's
have
even brutal
complete.
now. You're feeling the effects where, I'm trying to shop some of these guys and yeah, okay, I would love to get like some picks in return maybe or, even if it's like, hey, I'll trade you this player for this player, but I'd like to get some picks, but there's not really many picks to go around. Like he's still hoarding all the picks.
He
Blows
is,
me
and
away he
like,
was able
but
to get so many picks.
It's honestly one of those things, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but like he is like a precedent changing team right now where we might have to start discussing like, can we allow this to ever happen again where somebody just gets all of these picks? And then, if this was like real life and, we were talking like monopolies or like government, mandates on something, I think there will have to be some sort of discussion. Like, can a team hold 70% of the league's draft picks? That might just be detrimental to the league. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to put
I
in
mean,
some more
draft picks
rules.
aside though, like he wasn't starting complete rosters. Like he didn't has have like a starting quarterback or like the super flex, so he'd only be starting like
Yeah, it was like once
incomplete
Jones got
rosters
benched
and
last year,
shit.
we
Blows
had
me
nothing.
away. How did he get so many picks if he didn't have any players?
So he
Uh,
won the league the very first year. And a big part of why that happened was because, like, and Amaral, you weren't even around for this, but so many people just were drafting dynasty minded. And then his team, and then Big Brain, which was Jeremy, Mitch, and Jordan, they were like the two teams that were smart enough, and two pins as well. The teams that were smart enough to say, well, why don't I just kind of draft to like win this year? So McMorrow was like dominant in year one. Like them and him and Big Brain put up a million points and were like just kicking our asses. Because McMorrow had Derrick Henry. This was 5 years ago, so keep in mind when I'm saying these names. But he had like Derrick Henry. He had Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook. Um, let me see. I could definitely pull it up. Let me go to the league history real quick just to be even more accurate. Let's see.
But I guess the moral of the story here is that he saw the writing on the wall, blew it up when he should have, like at the deadline 3 years ago. Like knew
And
his team was just
honestly,
like a
he was
middling
like
team, and he blew it
late
up.
on that. Like we were all telling him before, like the year before that, and he turned down like some great offers. Like I mean, it would be funny to go back and see now because like sometimes players just like don't work out. But he was getting like insane offers for like Derrick Henry from playoff teams when he was like a middle of the pack team that missed the playoffs, and he was just like not pulling the trigger. But well, let me see who he started in the. Okay, so like I said, this was 2020. So when I say these names, you got to remember how good they were at the time. But he had Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Allen Robinson, Deontay Johnson. He had Chris Carson when he was the starter. Daniel Jones, that was when he was actually a good running back. He had Todd Gurley, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard. Like his team was loaded.
Yeah. No, that's
And
fair then.
then he was able to just like, he was like five, six running backs deep, and he was able to just, trade some of them off and get first rounders, get second rounders, do all that shit, and kind of just like cycle through that, and yeah, just acquire more and more picks down the road.
Gotcha.
But all right, let's move into this top four now. I feel like this is where we started to get a little bit more in lockstep. I did rank the Zits five. Like I said, I'm not going to argue too much and nitpick over the four versus the five here, but it is a pretty clear 4-3-2-1 that we had. I mean, that top two can kind of be disputed a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we have the Zits here. I mean, I think it's just one of those things where it's kind of like the tight end situation in fantasy where there's like the elite teams or the elite tight ends, and then after that it's kind of just like a gradient of kind of all the same player, but like obviously you would like to have this guy because he's a little bit better. I don't think that the Zits are sort of in what I could see as an elite tier where I think the Bussey boys and Slippery Pete are like, the strongest teams at full health. Um, that's something I'll save that. I'll put a pin in that to talk about Pete in a second. But then I think that the Suns, with the addition of Rasheed Rice coming back, have the ability to maybe ascend into, that elite tier. And that's why I'm ranking them a little bit higher. I'm having a little bit of foresight here with them. I think that the way that they're playing right now, the way that Jake Ferguson's playing, they've brought in Darren Waller as well, but Rasheed Rice to pair with Brian Thomas, who I think is ascending. Their running backs that they have are obviously unbelievable. Their quarterbacks. I'm blanking on the quarterbacks right now as I'm rambling on. Hold on. Let me just pull up that
Dak.
full roster. They
Dak is
have
definitely
Dak
one.
Prescott. Hold on, let me pull up the Suns so I can get that full roster picture.
But they have
Uh,
Achan, Gibbs, JSN, Brian Thomas, Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, JSN, who I was forgetting about. Like, I mean, this is a team that, assuming Rasheed Rice is just going to come back, get the volume that we're expecting him to have, and just be like that absolute apex weapon for the Chiefs that actually raises the floor big time and the ceiling for the Chiefs too. I mean, this could be like a really dangerous team for like the next 10 weeks. So that's why I was higher on the Suns than I was on Slippery People. Let's focus on the Zits here as well. I mean, I think the Zits right now, they need to make a move to kind of solidify themselves and get themselves into that top three conversation. I mean, Bryce Young, he's looking good, more so in real life, I'd say. But I mean, that quarterback two spot is definitely hurting right now, especially with Lamar being out and having to start Bryce Young and Geno Smith. I just don't think that that's like elite tier. I'm not huge on it. I think that we'll see with things like Mike Evans coming back, George Kittle coming back, Rashid Shaheed, is a big play potential. Xavier Worthy is very good. Travis Hunter, what is he going to be as a wide receiver this year? But I think that there's just maybe too many question marks to kind of keep the Zits out of that top two, top three tier that we've kind of consistently seen them in the last 2 years. Frank, what were you thinking about the Zits when you were ranking them? You had them third.
So my whole thing with them is, isn't Lamar supposed to be back in like a week or so?
Yes.
So I feel like if he's coming back after the bye, they're pretty solid. Because
Mhm.
they're really, I mean, his big weakness is the second quarterback. Gino's been dog shit. Um, but Bryce has been pretty good. I mean, Bryce is like a solid second quarterback.
Oh no, yeah, and I agree. I mean, I still have them fifth, but I think it's more, especially when I'm talking about like the top two, three teams as well. I think that where they're just at is they just need to tighten the screws a little bit. And they're getting Lamar back, they're getting Kittle back. Mike Evans is practicing this week, so we'll see what that final product is going to look like. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also looking for overall outlook. I just think what McMorrow has the capability of doing just kind of gives him the edge because I think both of these teams are a move or two away from really, making themselves legit contenders and kind of like taking control of that narrative. But I like where McMorrow can take his team just slightly more. Where I think that Bowen, we'll see, like I said, just fine tune and tighten the screws on a little bit of these loose ends and, maybe make a move to get one or two more pieces just to feel a little bit more comfortable with the bye weeks and also just to plan ahead and have some injury insurance as well. So I mean, it really is splitting hairs between the two for me at 4 and 5. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is to me like the clear. I think having them consensus four is very fair. So, Emerald, you got any other comments on the Zits?
No, I guess there's a little bit of projection going on. In my case, with like Lamar and Kittle, Mike Evans coming back. Like I think those are three like foundational pieces for their team, and they'll be in the mix again.
Yeah, and I think that just like this top five in general, there is definitely a tier break between that and then, that tier of, like we said, Amaral, me, Wallace, the Cucks, where I think that's kind of that is like the true wild card spot there, where it's like we'll see how those four teams shake out. And maybe McMorrow drops out because injuries can always happen and things like that. But I think it's one spot that's firmly up for grabs between those four teams, and then potentially a fifth spot just due to variance and injury luck between any of these other teams that are in the top five. But moving into that top three, so Frank, you had the Suns ranked fourth, but I had them second. Emerald, you had them third. We can kind of do this top three together and just kind of feel it out and see how we're feeling. I already gave my thoughts on the Suns. Frank, you had them fourth. What kind of is it just that you were so high on Bowen's team, or is there something that you're down on with the most athletic Suns?
Yeah, it's more so just I was higher on Bowen's team. I do like their team a lot, but with Zach's got a couple of, as Amaral said, Zach's got a couple of players coming back where I really think his team could kind of turn the corner because of that, as long as they all stay healthy, because he really doesn't have that deep of a bench.
Yeah, I agree, and I think when you kind of look league wide, like there's not really a ton of depth on these benches anyways, and I think that's a problem that Slippery Pete runs into, and we can kind of segue it into that. And that's why I had him ranked third. I mean, first of all, I think the Bussey boys, they're already one of the best teams. And then everything I was saying about McMorrow's team where they have a ton of ammo to make moves, that's also true for Simcoe here. I mean, Pete does have my first. He has like another future first. He has like a second rounder as well. But Suka has a ton of first round picks, a ton of like, other picks that he can, make moves with. And
Oh
even
yeah.
if he doesn't, I still think that he's, arguably the best team in the league. So I'm looking at Pete's team and I'm seeing that. And I mean, he probably had one of the most unlucky and he still won. Amaral, you couldn't take advantage of that last week, but he probably had one of the most unlucky weeks of fantasy that I've ever seen, just in terms of guys getting hurt where what was it? I mean, Marvin Harrison goes down, Garrett Wilson hurts his knee, he's going to be missing some weeks. Puka Nakua goes down, he's going to be missing some weeks. I mean, that was just like, Javonte Williams has like his first bad game. But then all of a sudden you're looking at this bench and the bench is fucking brutal. I mean, his running backs, he's got Wright, Halani, Caleb Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, Algier, who's just a direct back, or I mean, he can work in conjunction with Bijan Robinson. We saw that last week, but you don't want to be starting both of them. And then, CeeDee Lamb, he's starting to practice this week. He could come back. But after that, it's Josh Reynolds, Jalen Tolbert, Chiga Okonkwo. Like, I mean, this week against me, I think you might have to start Josh Reynolds. And like that's just like ugly. So like for me, like, Alex's team just has to take a little bit of a bump just due to, the state of his team right now. And let me see who else he's starting. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Herbert, Bijan, Taylor, of course, that's great. Yeah, he's got Tolbert and Josh Reynolds and Tyler Algier starting for him this week.
Yeah, damn.
That's bad. That's really bad. And if these injuries pop up, CD, might be able to play this week, but if these injuries, keep these, Puka out, Garrett Wilson out for a couple weeks, these guys are, even if it's only one of them, are going to have to make appearances in the starting lineup. So, I mean, I think he's still firmly in that top three. I would definitely put him above Bowen's team. Of course, that's what I did, as well as McMorrow's team. But I mean, I think he's just going to take a little bit of a bump right now. So that's why I had him third. And then obviously by default those other teams move up, so that gave Simcoe the top spot for me. And then I'm just high on the upside with this most athletic Suns team. I mean, that bench is still dog shit, but like I said, if you look hard enough at any of these teams, nobody really has that great of a bench besides me, but it's also at the cost of me not having like an elite starting lineup, so whatever. But yeah, I mean, you guys had Pete number one. You guys had the Bussey Boys number two. Emerald, what was kind of your thought process in that split?
I think just at his ceiling, Pete still has the best team. I mean, you go Herbert, Bijan, Taylor, uh, Puka, CD, Kelsey, and then he can like go Javonte Williams, and then either Garrett Wilson or who the hell am I forgetting here? Marvin Harrison, and then Bo Nix. Like it's just there's no weakness in that starting lineup. Again, I understand your point of like the injuries and shit, but um, yeah, they it hasn't impacted him to this point. He's 6-0. If he survives this, if like Puka and CD miss more time, Garrett Wilson misses a couple weeks. Like if he can come out of this with even two losses, like I think he's well positioned to repeat. So I just think operating at his absolute ceiling, he's the best team in the league. But
Yeah,
you
I
know, I
think
think
part of what kind of goes against me with that analysis too is or not goes against me, but kind of what I was thinking with that is even last year where he was, I'd say, like the consensus number one team, he didn't exactly cruise to the championship. Like he still had to grind to get that. And I mean, it's a very big brain trait to be like, oh, well, if I actually advanced, then I would have beat him. But I mean, Bowen just blew my doors off in the semifinals. I still had a pretty solid week, but I mean, there are plenty of other teams that are outscoring. I mean, especially in the fantasy playoffs, it very much is like an any given Sunday type thing where it's like, shit. I mean, last week he was able to overcome it, but I mean, all of a sudden Puka goes down, Marvin Harrison goes down, Garrett Wilson essentially was just playing hurt the whole game, and you have to deal with all that shit. I mean, even Bo Nix, he hasn't been stellar yet this year, but yeah, I think just the fact that even at his best, where everything seemed to go his team's way with injury luck last year. And he was still the best team, but he didn't just walk to the championship. So I think because of that, now all of a sudden we're starting to see like the chips in the armor. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking ahead a little bit, but also I just think that highly of the most athletic Suns and the Bussy boys when I look at their rosters and what they're able to do every week as well. So I mean, I think just these next couple weeks at least, they are the better teams. And then we'll see how Alex's team is able to recover. But Frank, you got any thoughts on the Bussy boys?
Um,
Or Pete's team as well. I mean, we go either two. I think those top two are now the
I think
focus.
Pete's team is probably like when it's 100% is definitely the best in my
Oh yeah,
opinion. Um, but I don't know. Simcoe's team's real close. They're nasty.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like I know Simcoe's trying to make some big moves right now. I won't spoil the rumors that I'm hearing in the rumor mill, but yeah, I mean, it's just like I was saying, when we're looking at, some of these teams trying to tighten up and, commit to these pushes, especially as other teams might decide to sell off certain players. I just think that, one, Simcoe's team is arguably better despite record, but because he does have the one loss. And the most athletic Suns, they're 4-2, but I mean, that's a lot of luck there. We're also just looking at points for and what they're going to be able to do these next couple weeks. And I just think that when we come back in however many weeks for the next rankings, I do think that's kind of where I expect it to be. So 2, 3 weeks down the road, I just think it's going to be harder whether Alex actually drops games or not. I think that those points are going to catch up, and other teams might pass him in points for and anything like that. So. Yeah, I just think that Simcoe and the Suns have the stronger teams right now. But of course, that could be cleared up, once the playoffs come around. But also, just yeah, the ability to make moves. I think Simcoe. I like his team more right now, and I like the fact that he has a few firsts to play with. So that makes him really dangerous. But all right,
Yeah, I forgot he had so many 2027 firsts.
yeah, and like I mean, he's in a position where he could realistically overspend if he wanted to, just to make sure that he got a guy.
so. I think that's the most impressive turnaround in the league. Is like last year, Simcoe was routinely ranked in the hell tier,
Yeah.
and he did a great job turning that roster around. I mean, trades like he made the one with you, Frank, right, for Rodgers and Swift.
Yeah.
It Rodgers is a great quarterback three to have behind Allen and Goff, and then like Swift as his running back three. He took a gamble. Like I think I was a bit hesitant to trade for Kyron and James Cook. In hindsight, I really wish I had when I had the opportunity, but he contract disputes going on, and he rolled the dice, took a chance on James Cook, took a chance on Kyron. They both got paid shortly after that, and he's sort of reaping the rewards of that now. Of course, the Dunze's emerged this year. I just think, I mean, like I don't know,
Yeah, I mean,
like
exactly. I
a,
mean, that was a team that so many people had dead in the water, and I think, for anybody that's in those spots, and we talked about some of those teams, right? Mikey's team, George's team. Um, Simcoe kind of shows that when you just when you're stuck and you have like that one big guy, you can trade him away, you can get a haul, and you can kind of, rebuild from the bottom up there. So, I mean, I think that it is just kind of living proof that nobody's truly dead unless you just are inactive. Like, that's like really the only way that you could totally bottom out. But, all right, I think we can leave it
Simcoe's
at
got
that.
his team's pretty damn deep too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the ability. I mean, and the depth just gives him more ammo for adding to trades if he wants to go after blue chip guys. And yeah, he's just got a million options. But all right, we'll leave it at that. We've been at it for quite a bit. So um, I guess I'll just read off the final rankings, but then I'll go through. Maybe I'll make a tidier graphic that I can put in the league chat or something, and then I'll also timestamp this episode when I find the time to do it. But starting from 12 and working our way up to one, as we like to do, we have Tasaki Gnome, Go Tigers, Two Pins, Slow Stroke Kings, the Cucks, I Love My Mom, Sfogliatella, Chris Carson Wentz, Lamar and the Zits, the Most Athletic Sons, Slippery Pete, and the Bussey Boys. Frank Amaral, thank you for joining me on this program. We'll check back in a few weeks. I think we'll, maybe see maybe 2, 3 weeks. As we, you know what? How about I'll check when the deadline is, right before the trade deadline, or maybe
Okay.
after the trade deadline. Maybe we'll do after the trade deadline. We'll do trade deadline reactions. We'll get our thoughts in, and then we'll power rank then. So I think that puts us maybe like a month out. That's when we'll be back on. But as always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for everybody that tuned in and everybody that's watching afterwards. And I will leave it at that.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was fun. Good talking to you guys.
Of course, anytime.